Imagine this, you are watching a chess game and the grandmaster does the unthinkable. He sacrifices his queen, the most powerful piece on the board. It's a move that seems useless, but as the game goes on, you start to see there is a deeper plan behind it. This is the kind of daring brilliance that defined Mikhail Tal, a chess legend known for his bold and creative sacrifices. In this game, Tal doesn't just play chess. He takes you on a thrilling ride where every move feels like mystery waiting to be unraveled. Let's dive into the brilliance of Tal's queen sacrifice and discover what made him a true chess genius.
Moving towards the game details, this game was played in 1988 at Simul, which was in Chicago, USA. Here, Mikhail Tal was with white pieces, and his opponent, who was Jack Miller, is with black pieces. Here, we start off the game with e4 by Mikhail Tal. e5 is the response. We have knight to f3, knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6, d4. This is the Italian game of 4 knights defense. Now we have d6. In the game, d6 was played, but I will show you an interesting variation where you can really take, and this is far more better than this d6 move. Here, after d takes e4, white just castles. Now knight takes e4. Now we attack this knight with the help of our rook, and now you just play d5 move attacking this bishop, and this bishop can really take this pawn, because after queen takes we can play knight to c3 attacking this queen, and you can't just take this pawn, because if you take you will lose your queen like this. So with taking the advantage of this pin, we play this, and once the queen moves somewhere like this a5, now we can recover our piece. And if you say, why will he move anywhere? Can he move there? But no use of it. We can just take it because we have a support of the rook. This queen can't take it. So this was this interesting variation. But let us look what was happening in the game. After the move d6, we have d takes c5 and knight takes e4. Again, in the game there was the best variation, which was d takes e5, after which we can play queen takes d8, knight takes d8, and here the castling right of black was saved. But after this variation, which was knight takes e4, black couldn't save his castling rights. What do we have is just simple bishop takes f7. This is a bishop sacrifice, and once the king takes it, we can play queen to d5, forking this king and this knight, and once the king moves back like this, now we can take this knight. But this was not happened in the game. In the game, happened was bishop to e6, blocking the check with bishop, and now we took this knight. Now we have bishop to e7, castle by white, d5, and the queen was being attacked, so white moved his queen on d3 square. Instead, queen to f4 check was far more superior. This keeps this queen superior, and also his pieces are active, and in the future you can develop this knight and bring your all pieces into the attack. After which king goes on g8, and we go knight c3. Keeping the queen on the king side is superior. So what do we have is a queen to d3, and now queen goes on d7. We have rook goes on e1, rook a goes on f8, knight goes on c3, king goes on e8 square. We have knight to g5, and instead of knight to g5, chess engine recommend us to play this bishop to g5, which is the nice little move, because now after playing bishop to g5 move, they cannot take our knight. Let us say if they take, eliminating this defender of this bishop and attacking our queen, we can just take, and after they take, they have not gained a piece yet. What we can do is play queen to h5 check, and now with whatever piece they block, on the next move we are going to recapture the bishop. So This bishop to g5 move is simple, but in the game Mikhail Tal played knight to g5. And one great thing to tell you that Mikhail Tal plays the move that are totally out of Stockfish's mind or the chess Indian's mind, and that's the beauty of our Mikhail Tal. Now the game gets sharp, and it was better to develop this bishop on c1 that we looked. Now bishop goes on c5, and you can see there's a nice little attack on white like this. And if I were in this position, I was must to play rook f1 or rook to e2, defending this f2 pawn. But Mikhail Tal has some weird calculations. He plays knight takes e6. Now he just sacrificed his bishop. Not really sacrificed, he just exchanged, because now let us see, if you take, king goes on h1, now he takes the rook, and knight takes on f8. This was happened in the game, and after knight takes, you can see the game continues. We have two minor pieces for two minor pieces, one rook for one rook, and the queen for queen. So from this position, bishop moved on g5 square. After this, rook takes f8 move, bishop goes on g5 square. Now we have knight goes on b4. Jack Miller sees his chance to go after the Tal's soft back rank like this. This is the back rank of Mikhail Tal, this a square, and now the next whole game we are going to see tragedy on this back rank. Let us look. We have queen to e2, knight takes c2. Now Miller forked this rook, but Mikhail Tal doesn't really cares about his rook. He just played e6 move, attacking this queen and saying that first you save your queen and then I will save my knight. We have queen to d6, and one thing to tell you, Mikhail Tal was a fearless attacker. When his pieces used to attack, he never defended, he counter-attacked, or he just sacrificed his pieces. That was the beauty of Mikhail Tal's games. Now we have knight to b5, again attacking this queen, and there was a chess Indian recommendation to keep his queen on this c5 square and guard this f2 square, so that in the future he can bring his f8 rook on this rank and play some attack. But Miller plays queen to e5, sacrificing his queen, and the point is, if you take this queen like this, what do we have is rook to f1 checkmate. So you just have to guard your f1 square, otherwise this rook will come and checkmate you. But that's Mikhail Tal. He has found a way. What he did? Yes, a brilliant move, h4. He just sacrificed his queen. He said, there's no need of my queen, and there's a nice little nasty trap here. If you look, if Jack Miller had took this queen, there's a nice little trap which is knight takes c7, and fun thing to tell you, this is a checkmate. Yes, you can see this knight is checking the king, this bishop is cutting off these squares, this pawn is cutting off these two squares, and his rook is blocking off from going on the right side, and that's a checkmate. So you cannot left this c7 square undefended, and for this reason you can't take this e2 queen. Now let us look the further game. Now Jack Miller played queen to g3, and his next planning was to bring his rook on this f2 rank and checkmate on this g2 square. But we know Mikhail Tal, he is such a player that if you analyze this game, in real, the attack was not on Mikhail Tal, the attack was on Jack Miller. Let us look. After this rook to d1 move, Jack Miller worked with his plan, rook f2. Now what Mikhail Tal has done is craziest move of this whole game. Queen takes f2, just sacrificing the queen. He doesn't care, because if you look, if you just leave this c7 square undefended, if you take with this queen like this, then there is this knight takes c7 check, king goes on f8. Now we have e7 check, and on the next move we are queening. Let's say if they go here or anywhere, we have just queen, and you can see we have recovered the queen because it's Mikhail Tal's game. And if you see, if they take with the bishop, that was the last option. Now what do we have is rook takes d5. There is no good way to stop this rook to d8 checkmate. Now let us look the next game. We have queen takes h4 check. And one great thing to tell you, that was not a queen sacrifice. Mikhail Tal just wanted to exchange because now this was the best move from this position to sacrifice the queen, because there is no other way to continue from this position. And after a bishop takes, you can see we have knight takes c7 check, king goes on f8, rook to f5 check, bishop blocks, and now we have rook to d5. Mikhail Tal is just sliding his rook. First he goes there, and again there, and again in some few moves you will see he bring his rook from there to there after this a5 move. And there was a must move, which was knight to b4 to bring his knight in the game, but Jack Miller doesn't place it. And you can see after this check, king goes on g8, and after this rook takes f6, the great move, knight goes on c6. And this was the big mistake, because if you take this rook, this pawn is totally winning and you cannot stop. After this you can go here, and that's the game. And if you just want to defend, you have to resign there only, because you are playing against Mikhail Tal. After this knight to c6 move, we have rook to f7 with defense of this pawn. Now after this g6 move, we have e7, and at this exact point Jack Miller resigned. And the reason behind is you just have to have two options. First is to take this rook, and second is to take this pawn. If you take this pawn, Mikhail Tal takes your knight and just slides this rook on this a7 rank and bring this king over and just eliminate all your pawns and push this pawn forward. And the second way is, if you take this rook, we have a queen on the spot checking the king, and in the few moves we have a checkmate on the board. So from this position Jack Miller resigned. So this was the game, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, please subscribe to our channel and like this video.
If you want to know how Mikhail Tal crushed Stockfish, do watch this video.